learned that Al Gore had made a speech the day before saying that sugar companies were going to have to pay for the cleanup of the Everglades. So while Monica sat there in her tears, Bill Clinton spent 22 minutes on the phone reassuring Alfie Fahnholt that everything was okay, that they would be true and blue, and even that Al Gore guy, he's just saying that to get elected. Keep giving us money so Al can be president.
Nobody knows exactly what it costs to produce a pound of sugar in the Everglades, but it's the second most profitable crop to tobacco in the United States, and it has made the Van Hool family extraordinarily rich. The incredible thing is that for every pound of sugar grown in the Everglades, and we're talking about hundreds of millions of tons, the American taxpayer guarantees a price of 22 cents a pound, way above the world price of 7 cents a pound.
The sugar program is a combination of import quotas and a guarantee that the government will buy any surplus. It limits dramatically, it limits to almost nothing the amount of foreign sugar that's permitted to enter the U.S. That means if you need sugar in the U.S., you have to buy it from the U.S. sugar producers. And that results in the price being artificially raised. There's a shortage, usually, and so the U.S. price of sugar is higher than the world price.
So you can go to Canada and the price of sugar is 1/3 of the United States, or Mexico is 1/3 of the price in the United States. And they guarantee the price. So if there's too much sugar in the United States, the federal government will buy the sugar at the high price. It makes zero economic sense.
The country's running a $500 billion a year deficit, and we're subsidizing sugar production in the Everglades, which is damaging the same system that we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars to repair. If you really think about it, it's nonsensical, it's even comical. If it wasn't so hideous, it really would be laughable.
The Van Hool family makes hundreds of millions of dollars, become very wealthy because of a government program. And there's no reason why the federal government should create a program to make the Van Hools richer. We're in effect subsidizing the Van Hools and hurting the American public buying products that have sugar in it.
One was the Republican, one was the Democrat. Alfie Fahnholt was the single largest contributor in Florida to the Clinton campaign, and his brother was the largest contributor to the Republican Bob Dole campaign. They had it covered either way.
What we're talking about is somewhere over $400,000 to various people in contributions to the Republican National Committee. They are putting down, in most of these cases, their occupation is with the Florida Crystals Corporation.
That's the Sugar Corporation.
Yeah. Well, that's them. Money doesn't decide every issue in politics, but most issues it plays a major part in. And if you're going to try to understand politics and why things happen the way they do in Washington, you have to, as they say, follow the money.
That's an industry. How democratic is that? It ain't. It is called free enterprise. It is free enterprise.
While Alfie and Pepe Van Hool get richer off government programs, the towns where they base their businesses sink deeper into poverty.
Well, this city of Belgrade is a labor community because we have a lot of agriculture in the area. Sugarcane being the largest, and it has a vast majority of ethnic backgrounds, or what's that word I'm looking for? Ethnicity.
When sugar barons like the Van Hools needed cheap labor, the U.S. made an exemption to immigration laws. Foreign workers were imported on a special visa to cut sugarcane for third world wages.
It really disappoints me. I'm saying, but you gotta see the system, you can't beat it.
Everybody from Jamaica come here. They come here to achieve something. They support them family.
Hard work. Real hard work. You know. Sometimes our supervisors tell us, boys, it will be blood, sweat and tears. And it was.
I used to see people, man, go out cutting canes when I come to visit my cousin. They come back, lacerations, the canines, they cut them in the hand, chop them in the leg.
As a man cut off in thumb, clean as a man bust in knee. I see a lot of things going on in the field.
The figures show that every year there was an average of 10 workers killed in sugarcane work. When the government came down as part of their review of the Sugar Act to see that the workers were being paid properly, it found massive minimum wage violations throughout the sugar industry. This, we believe, cost the workers probably, certainly millions of dollars a year, maybe as much as $10 million a year.
There's a lot of time we know that we was short pay or, you know, are doing some work for a lot of lesser money more than what we supposed to work for, you know. But ain't nothing much we can do about it.
Yeah. Guys go out there and they work all day long. How much you made today? $35, $40. You got to work your behind off to make $50.
Although the Fanjuls deny wrongfully cutting wages and putting their workers' safety at risk, eventually mounting lawsuits and increasing scrutiny caused them to mechanize their sugar harvest. Many of the migrants who had come to work in their fields stayed in America, hoping for other opportunities, but they haven't made it very far.
Do you think it makes it difficult for the people living in that community to change their lives when they're raised in that community because they live in those conditions?
No. I mean, there's a lot of talent down there. A lot of talent. You know, this community here has produced several famous football players. Okay? Fred Taylor for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
So that's the way they...
I mean, that's just one of the ways. Jesse Hester used to play for the Colts and the Raiders. The family lives right back here. I mean, that's just one of the things. I mean, and then there's other athletes, and there are a lot of talented people in this community.
It's hard to believe that just a few miles down the road from Belle Glade is one of the richest towns in America, Palm Beach. The contrast between the two communities is astounding. But most rich people have come to accept the blatant inequality as a way of life in our country. I know my father is different. He struggles with it. Yet every time I turn the camera on, his instinct is to keep quiet.
We're in the middle of a meeting, you come in with the camera, we don't want to talk on camera about what we're doing.
Well, I just think, you know, if we're secretive...
Secretive about what?
About, well, about the American aristocracy.
Well, it's written up in every paper twice a year. They tell you with a nickel how much you're worth. What's the secret?
Why can't I be secretive? Every man's house is his castle in this country.
There's nothing wrong with shedding light on that and reviewing it, and then hopefully it corrects itself.
Well, I want you to be careful, and I mean that. It's you know, your personal family.
Well, you made your movie, and now you don't want to talk?
Jamie, what is so dark here? What do you think's going on? What are you talking about?
Take this camera and your film and do another person or another family. It's not going to happen here.
It's frustrating because I know when my dad was my age, he had something to say about social inequality. And I think the subject is so complicated for him that now he chooses to avoid it at all costs. But for some rich people I talk to, inequality is easy to understand. It's preordained.
If you inherit money, then you feel, why did I get all this and somebody else is poor? Well, God had a reason for that. God's never going to give you anything that you can't handle. People mistake the Bible as something that you put on the shelf after Sunday, but it is a guideline that you run your business by, you run your family by, and you run your life by, and you will succeed. We have about $260 million in sales, and we have 1,150 employees. We're in the top 30 private landowners in the United States, and we're the largest private landowner in Louisiana.
See the TV set?
Yeah.
There